I was married when I was 22 to a man I didn't love. I married him for protection. I had my son when I was 25. My sanity was in shambles and I feared for my life. How could I bring a baby into a world inhabited by them? So I left. I'm writing this down because my son has been posting regularly on this site. I hope he contacts me. It started when I was 15, the day after my birthday, actually. I woke up in my bedroom, same as usual, but I wasn't the one who opened my eyes. It might not make sense, but something else was moving for me. It lifted my hand to pull down my blankets. It swung my feet to the floor and stood me up. I was in a panic. I wondered if I was sleepwalking, but I was fully awake and conscious. My mind was alert, but my body was not mine to control. I couldn't scream. It had control of my vocal cords. I just had to passively watch as it went through my normal routine. It brushed my teeth, it combed my hair, it dressed me in a typical outfit. I fought it. I swore I tried so hard to get control back, but it acted like it didn't even notice my presence. This went on all day. It went to school, it wrote notes, it gossiped with my friends, it raised my hand and spoke answers aloud in class in my voice. Answers I didn't even know. After school, it walked home and hung out with my parents, it watched TV, and then it put on my pajamas and went to bed. All the while, I was watching through my eyelids. I could still feel everything as usual, but instead of me controlling the action, I was an audience member to my day. A bystander. I found out later that most of the people who are controlled by them have no idea it is happening. They think they are making all of these decisions. They even have memories of doing ordinary things while their body is partaking in hideous crimes. I was not so lucky. I was trapped in my body for 3 years like this, completely unable to control anything about my life. It was the most terrifying form of torture. You have to watch your loved ones interact with a complete stranger but think it is you. It never ate. It just made excuses or hid food, but I never lost weight or seemed to have any negative effects. Sometimes my body would look in the mirror and I would see my face. I swear it winked at me once. Just after graduating high school, it went on a road trip with 2 of my friends. The car broke down on a highway and we didn't have cell phones back then. Something was wrong with the car hood and it wouldn't open. We waited for someone to drive by to help us, and while we were waiting, my friends talked about where they were going to school. It talked in my voice about being accepted to Emerson for a theater degree. They all laughed. I just watched as usual. At this point, I thought this was going to last the rest of my life. A car finally appeared, and an elderly man tried to fix our car. He produced a crowbar from his trunk so we could open the hood, and once open, he gave the crowbar to me. Well, not me. It. I could feel the weight of the crowbar in my hands, but I did not know what would happen next. I swear I didn't want to do those things to my friends and that old man. It raised my arms and brought the crowbar down over the man's neck. It made a sickening crack and he fell over. My friends looked at me horrified. Then it went after one of them, swinging the bar until it collided with her skull. She screamed and toppled over. My hands curled tighter around the weapon. It struck her, and again, until her face was just a bloody pulp. And me? I was trapped in a front row seat, watching it happen. My other friend cried and ran into the nearby woods, and my body was panting from the exertion. It went back to the old man who was barely hanging on to life. In an odd, high, low voice, it whispered, "Hope it was worth it, friend." Then it took off into the woods. It stalked its prey, taking its time to follow the trail of my terrified friend. She was yelling for help. It found her easily, and she tripped over a branch and turned her head to see my body standing over her. "Alex, please stop!" I had to stare into her petrified eyes. I had to watch as my hands dropped the crowbar and instead reached for her neck. I had to feel the blood bulge against my palms as she struggled to breathe. I had to listen to her gurgles. I had to see the life float away from her. My hands were still around her neck when there was a loud buzzing noise like static. Then I saw a bright cloud of yellow. It seemed to be evaporating out of my skin. Then my body suddenly went limp and numb, and I fell on top of my dead friend. My open eyes were pressed against the sweat on her forehead. When you haven't been in control of your body for 3 years, it is hard to recognize when you have control again. It started small. I blinked, but it wasn't someone else blinking, it was me. I could have cried for joy, but I forgot how to speak. I forgot everything about moving. I yanked my arm up and watched in shock as it did what I asked of it. I spent the next God knows how long trying to figure out how to move. I managed to sort of roll off the corpse onto the ground. I was conflicted. I felt incredible joy in being able to control my body and also incredible horror over what my body had just done. He found me lying like that in the middle of the woods. He had a way of tracking them. I'm still not sure how. He showed up in a dark suit and hiking boots. He tried to talk to me, but I didn't remember how, so he just took me in his arms and carried me back to his car. I think he fell in love with me the minute he saw me. That poor man. It took me a month to relearn how to speak. The organization has very good doctors, and they worked with me daily to get me back used to controlling my body. I guess I was the first case where a person remembered being inhabited. Everyone was very eager to speak to me, aka study me. Everyone except Jack. When he visited me, he did so out of genuine care. He wanted me to feel safe. That's why I clung to him. I was so damn scared of what happened to me. Scared it would happen again. I needed Jack. I needed him to tell me it was going to be all right. And when he asked me to marry him, I didn't hesitate. This has all been a rambling story, and I don't know if it makes anything clearer, but I want my son to know that when I left him, I did so for his own good. I did so because they were closing in on me, and now I had 2 people to be fearful for. So I've been running, but I'm done now. My son needs me. I'm sorry, Sammy.